If future improvements to computer simulations of automobile crashes enable computers to provide as much reliable information about the effectiveness of automobile safety features as is provided by actual test crashes, then manufacturers will use far fewer actual test crashes.
All right, so what does that mean?
If future improvements to computer simulations of automobile crashes are able to provide more reliable info about the effectiveness of automobile safety features, then by actual test crashes, manufacturers will use far fewer actual test crashes.
Yeah. So essentially, if computer simulations can provide more reliable information in like effectiveness of safety, then we're going to have less crashes. Awesome. All right, next sentence.
For the costs of designing and running computer simulations are much lower than those of actual test crashes.
All right, so what is our conclusion here?
Okay, let me give you a minute. Manufacturers will use far fewer actual.
Yeah, like essentially all of this. It's this whole thing, like our conclusion. And we even have that fancy for our indicator word, which is nice. So we're like, okay, we have like one premise. So we're saying like this is definitely going to happen because we're gonna have because it's going to be the same reliable of information and it's cheaper. Is this a valid argument?
Yeah.
That we will for sure use far fewer actual test crashes?
I don't really know.
Why do you think the fact that if they're able our only reasoning for saying this is because they're able to provide as much reliable information about the effectiveness of automobile safety features and they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Is that enough to guarantee that we're going to use far fewer actual crashes? What is this argument failing to consider or assuming? If you were going to destroy this argument, how would you do it? Like if you had to. This is like if you hated the person, which you shouldn't hate people, if you really dislike the person saying it, what would you say to them to be like, you're wrong because?
I don't even know.
So if I said, I'm going to try to even think of a good example. We're gonna stop if these robots can provide care for people as much as nurses can, then and they're cheaper to have the robots than nurses, we're going to stop using nurses. Is that a good reason?
No, because nurses do other things besides provide care.
So what might be true of these test crashes?
That they might do other things besides do the things that the computers are trying to replace.
Yeah, like couldn't these test crashes maybe test something other than the automobile safety features?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That could be an example. Like they're assuming that this is the only reason we're using the test crashes.
Okay. Makes sense.
But anyways, this isn't a flaw question. This is a strengthen question. So what could we say that would actually strengthen this idea that we are going to use far fewer crashes?
That could strengthen it, that we will use far fewer.
As I remember on strengthen questions, one thing that we can do on strengthen questions is find our flaw and fix it. So how could we fix our flaw in this?
By saying like, this is the only thing that they can do.
Yeah, if that's the only reason that we use test crashes is to test this. That would definitely strengthen it if that were an answer.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with A.
Okay, apart from the information about safety features, actual test crashes provide very little information of importance to automobile manufacturers. That sounds nice
That
because,
sounds really nice.
yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. So could we keep that one?
Yes, we can keep that one.
Okay, that sounds very good, but It is highly likely that within the next 20 years, computer simulations of automobile crashes will be able to provide a greater amount of reliable information about the effectiveness of automobile safety features than can be provided by the actual test crash. No, that doesn't help.
Excellent.
If computer simulations will soon be able to provide more information about the effectiveness of automobile safety features, automobile manufacturers will soon be able to produce safer cars. That doesn't really, I mean, we're not taught. No.
Right. And just because like this is almost saying like, hey, if you can do this, we're going to have safer cars. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean like this is someone that reads this and like, oh yeah. I bet if people read this as a most supported question versus a strengthened question, because people sometimes like don't completely pay attention to like what we're trying to do. People are like, oh yeah, this is probably true because, you know, we're saying that like they're trying to draw something from it. But our conclusion is just about far fewer actual crashes. We don't care anything about producing safer cars. Right? What about D?
The cost per automobile of testing and designing safety features is decreasing and will continue to decrease for the foreseeable future. No.
No, that is not like once again like that kind of like cool that the price is going down.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of people pick D because they're like, oh, and it's going to be cheaper to do these, to create these safety features. But once again, does that mean there's going to be like, we're going to use this
Yeah.
information and stop doing test crashes?
Yeah.
Did you pick D?
I did.
I bet a lot. D is the trap answer for sure.
Yeah. For years, the aviation industry has been successfully using computer simulations of airplane crashes to test the effectiveness of safety features of airplane designs. That doesn't even like fit into what we're talking about.
Yeah, they're like, aviation has done it successfully, blah blah blah. But that once again, just because they're successful, like we don't even know if
It'll be successful for cars.
you know that the aviation industry is not also doing actual crashes. We
Yeah.
don't know that. Like they're just saying that they've successfully done this. Doesn't mean there's going to be less crashes, and so that's why our answer is going to be A.
Okay.
And I think that was one where like truly like thinking about it as what's the flaw would really help guide you in the right direction too.
And I made the mistake, and I feel like an idiot. I read this as a most strongly supported question.
Very common.
Is there a way to tell, like if I get in that kind of issue again, like how to?
Were you struggling to decide between an answer? Honestly, I think it's just misread. Like, I don't think because like you could go either way on this. I think it's just really paying attention, like marking it and really paying attention to like most strongly supports and strengthen. And whenever you think it's one of those, just telling yourself, okay, reread this to make sure it's really that.
Okay.
Because I feel like those question types depend because like you're looking for something completely different depending on how you read the question.
Yeah.